Alright, so I am very tired, but I feel the need to talk about this movie. So, the other day, I watched The First Omen, Omen prequel, blah blah blah. I think of the Omen series as I stare at my DVD right up there. I've only seen the first one. I've kind of seen some parts of like the remake, um, but I don't I haven't seen like Omen 2, 3, 4, and like I said, the full remake. I've seen bits of it where I'm like, that's also David Warner. Okay, awesome. Um, but just generally knowing, like, you going into this movie, as long as like, well, I mean, technically you have to know, but if you know at least like the first movie, you kind of get the gist of it towards the end, you know. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this movie, like this one and that other movie that came out also within the same year. Within the same year, like I'm talking about something that this is all happening this year, within a few months of one another. That's what I meant. um Immaculate, they have very similar stories, but like this one did it well, whereas Immaculate, like I'm wondering if I wrote something on like Letterbox about it, but anyway. So this one, it's about, a young woman. She's, coming a nun, all that stuff. She's like in Italy and all that shit. She's doing her thing. She's doing her nun thing. Like I said, she goes to Italy. She goes to Rome to go be a nun, as one does. All that stuff. You know, and I just I don't mean to keep like comparing this to Immaculate, because just so you know, I gave this movie 4 stars. I gave Immaculate like 2 stars, probably because like I don't know, like you just can't convince me to like Sydney Sweeney. I really don't care. She did that one other horror movie. Was it like Nocturne or something? She was all right in that one, but I just like you can't make me give a fuck about her. Like I just like I just something about her face just reminds me of like all of my like middle school and high school bullies. So I'm just like I just can't look at her. Anyway, so let's not talk about Immaculate. Let's talk about a good movie. So the First Omen, yeah. So this girl, she goes be a nun, and the movie likes to do like these weird like things every so often, where he'll just be like, hey, there's like this thing, and it initially had like that very Bloomhouse thing where they're like, hey, there's something. Look at this thing, like, oh, is it a jump scare? Like the quick cut thing, like the what James Wan did in the first Saw, like the bah, 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 kind of like putting like 60 frames in like 2 seconds, kind of thing, and it'll just be like, oh, well, wait, what? Something about is that a demon? Wait, no, what is that? Something? What is what? Something with a yellow background. Roger Deakins would be very proud. It's something. What? Anyway, it's like, oh, I'm just walking in the garden, all that stuff. Anyway, so the the main character girl, she shows up at the nunnery. I don't the place where nuns are, and she meets like this young kind of like weird girl in there, and she like befriends her because I get it. You see the weird one, you want to be friends with her, and then they're just like, stay away from her. She's a weird one. She's like, okay, she means no harm, and what you call it? Oh, I didn't even say I was gonna go into spoilers. Anyway, whoops. It's a good movie. Go watch it. God damn it. Anyway, so it's on Hulu right now with all the other Omen movies, including the remakes. So fucking go watch it. Anyway, um, so she's not stupid. The main character's not stupid. So she noticed like she's like felt things are a little sus, just a little weird, and she's just like I don't, she's like there's times where she's like kind of hallucinating. You know what I mean? Like it's like what? It's kind of weird, but she's like something is not right. But also like she's not doing the full like it's God kind of thing. Like God's giving me a sign thing. She's just kind of like something ain't right, and I gotta get down to the bottom of this, which is kind of like wow, okay. And so, oh my God, there's like the scene. We all know what scene. There's the scene, and she fucking like walks past this woman, and she's giving birth, And initially I was like, are they gonna show the cooter? You know, because they kept like, you'll see like let's say these are the legs on the stirrups. You'll see like the legs and like a nurse like there, and then you might see like something of the inner thigh, and I'm like, are we gonna see birthing? But you know, it's not gonna be like normal birthing, you know. And then it's like, then like it was like a quick flash of like pussy, you know, and you're like, oh okay, hi, you know. And then all of a sudden it was just like they like dead show it like right center, big old, you know, big, something's coming like come out, and there's like a hand. Okay, ow, my hands hurt. I just worked a whole long ass week, and my hands are, anyway. I was doing the, anyway, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, there was like a demon coming out of the puss. It was like rah, kind of thing, and you're like, what the fuck? Anyway, the girl was like, you know, like it's a lot of that happening in the movie, and then like someone takes her out. And they're like, have fun. And she's like, I'm going to be a nun. I'm in this slutty top. But she looked great in that slutty top. But, you know, slutty tops. You know, she goes and there's like some guy she's like flirting with. And like, you know, then she like blacks out. And she wakes up and she's like, oh. Well. I also love how I didn't even know what the actress looks like outside of this movie, the main actress. But of course, it's me. Just like when I watched *Malignant*, I was like, that's a wig. Just clocking the wig, you know, just like this big old thing on her head. And then, well, also, like, when she woke up after she, like, blacked out from the thing, she had the full, like, Elvira thing, you know, like, the hair goes and curly, like, it does, like, a splitty, you know, like, we're supposed to look like a crown of hair, like, on like, the bed and stuff. But I was just like, that's a wig. And that tends to happen, like, every time she, like, lays down, like, stylistically, they did that, which is fine, but I just thought it was so funny. And again, it also made it more obvious that she was wearing a wig. Because I then looked on IMDb, and I'm like, she's blonde. Again, just like with freaking *Malignant*, where the actress is blonde. Anyway, so she wakes up and she's like, I don't remember what happened. Da, da, da. Like, you know, it's like later down the line, she finds out she's pregnant, which I knew this is where it's going, because we're looking at a religious horror film. What happens with religious horror films, right? If someone isn't gonna get possessed and get completely like fucked up, be like, like, you know, full possession, like, you know, your mother sucks cocks in hell kind of shit. The bitch is, especially because it's because if it's an everyday person, they're gonna get possessed, right? But if it's a nun, she gets pregnant. Like that's just always what happens. That's just always what happens. So you're like, you know, she got pregnant. Also, she blacked out and she was flirting with a cute guy, so, you know, fucking commences. And so she finds out she's pregnant. It's like, oh no, but I'm a nun kind of thing. And just this movie kind of like goes like, I was with this movie. I actually didn't realize this movie was like 2 hours long, because like, I mean, I did pause halfway because I had to take a minor break for, you know, reasons. But like, I was just like, wait. I was like, whoa, there's a whole other hour of this movie? I was like, shit, okay. Because I didn't even realize it was an hour yet, you know? But again, a movie is good when you're not like constantly checking the time kind of thing. So, yeah. So she's like, blood and stuff. Oh my god. So, oh god, what is it? Oh, my brain. So, yes. Okay, so how this ties in to The Omen. I was just like, where am I going with this? Ties into The Omen. So, one day the main character, she sees the guy, the cute guy she met up with at the beginning of the movie. And the guy sees her. He's like, oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Okay. He's like, I didn't know. Like, he's like acting so weird. She's like, what the hell? Like, she's like, what happened that light? What happened that night, you know? But she didn't really ask what happened that night. She was just kind of like, hey, dude, what's up? I haven't heard from you. Instead of being like, hey, I blacked out, you know? And then, like, them showing footage of her blacked outness was just, like, this long, like, Hellraiser hallway kind of thing. And she's just, like, like, it's, like, floating on her back, and you just see her head, like, you know, tossed back like that. Again, wig. That's the way how the hair laid. And she's like, and I'm like, wow, like, what, dude, what dosage of Molly is that, honey? You know, she was God, you know. And the guy was like, oh, you just see him go like, look for the mark, boom, gets hit by a car. I either because it got by the time we got to that part of the movie, I was just that tired that, I was not on guard like I normally am, but that actually, like, startled me. It was like, I was like, oh man, look at, oh shit, he got hit. Because usually, like, any type of that stuff, I'm like, I knew it, I knew it was coming, but again, I could be tired because in the beginning of the movie, when like the fucking stained glass rained down with like the lead pipe shit, and then it fucking busted that dude's head open. Oh, that shit was so gross. Oh my god. I do love that. Like, again, I haven't seen the other Omen movies, but I do love, in like the first one, and I saw a little bit, like I said, of the remake, where when someone dies, it's like full on like Final Destination shit. It's like, what happened? Just raining down, like, stained glass pipe. Like, oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, the guy gets hit by the car, and she's just like, like, the dude is sandwiched between, like, this is the wall, this is the car, the dude is there. And it's like, bam, and then she's like trying to talk to him, and I'm like, girl, he is dead. Like, he is literally, like, and like the driver, I don't remember what the driver was doing, but then she was like, I'll pull you out. It's like, bro, like, just, dude, the moment that car lets up, he's just gonna just blah, but like, she just thought in her head, oh, I guess I'm going to be a nun kind of stuff, a nun forever nun. That she goes and like grabs him, picks him up, and then pulls him out, and you hear the sound, and you're like, oh, you stupid bitch. Did you not watch Signs? Did you not watch the movie Signs when they said they couldn't pull the car away from the mom because she would fall apart? Did you not watch Signs? She, actually, no, Signs didn't exist. This movie takes place in 1971. Joe, shut up. Anyway, but she pulls him off, and then people on the street are like, oh my god, because he is just like a torso with organs falling out. And then she, like, I guess she didn't even realize it. She's like, huh? Looks down, oh my god. That was kind of hilarious. Like, because, like, you knew as the audience member what was happening, but she was oblivious. But yeah, so she, like, looks at, like, oh god, there was like that weird nun who like kissed her during lunch one day, and then she just like fucking set herself on fire, kind of like very much in like the first movie where like that lady had like the rope around her neck. She's like, this is all for you, Damien, because she had to do the thing. She had to be fucking dramatic and be all fucking, like on top of the top floor of the building, and having to just be a spectacle, and you have to feel fucking special, and that's how you're gonna kill yourself in front of everyone. So mean of me. But anyway, so she was just like, fire. And it was like, wah! Like, oh my fucking Christ. So so that happens, like one does. And then whatchamacallit, she goes to look, like, something fucking else happens. I forgot. But anyway, so then she goes to like look for like the files. In these movies, there's always a scene where you're like you're inside a filing cabinet, and you're just going through shit, and you're going through, and then you see like this name, which is the name of the girl, the weird one, but it's like 1 through 7 or something. It was like a series of numbers, and she pulls the files out, and each one of them has like a fucking deformed ass baby, but they're all named the same name. They all die. They're all deformed and all that stuff. And you later, like, when they look closer, they all have the mark of the beast. They all have the 666, like, on the hand, somewhere, whatever. And it was just like, what the hell? All that stuff. And it's like, what the hell? So they're like, oh, so that girl, she's the other one. But you don't see it on her. Maybe it's somewhere, Anyway, this is a super spoiler if you've gone this far. Turns out the main character is actually one of the offsprings of the Mark of the Beast, because she has it on the back of her head like Damien does, which I thought it was funny. Like, wouldn't you know? Like, it immediately made me think, like, when you wash your hair, but again, girl, you're wearing a wig, so how would you know that the scalp of your wig? But she was just like, I love how she was like touching her head like, oh my god. But anyway, no. So the other girl, the weird girl, actually has it, but it's like a shop palette. It's like on there, so she has it. But then anyway, so because they said there's one where like the baby has it on its head, and it's like, oh my god, it turns out it's her, which I still find it funny. Like, how do you not know? I would know my scalp is all got a specific pattern to it, but maybe that's just me. Um, yeah, so she finds out that she is the spawn of Satanus and all that shit, and it was like, okay, that's cool, man. And you becoming a nun, well, that explains a lot of things. It's like how I went to Catholic school. Can you tell? So then fucking like the ending part gets like insane because she's like, so, oh, the guy from The Witch, the guy that Shane Madej looks like, the guy with the voice, yeah, he's there, and they're like, we gotta abort the baby because the Antichrist, that's the Antichrist inside of you, kind of stuff. And they try to go and like, we'll drive to a clinic somewhere. I don't know, it's like 1971. The car crashes, and like she comes out of it and full on does the possession fucking subway scene, where like where she's like, ah! When she like flails her body around, and then all of a sudden she like sits there and just goes, and then she's like, and then like stuff comes out of like fluids just come out of her. She does the whole fucking possession scene, but her like water breaks, and then she's like, like one does. God, I feel like because of like the beginning of the movie with like that birthing scene was so gross, and then a possession reference that was done well, and then then comes like the like her birthing scene, like it's really what won me over. Like the story was kind of all right, but like just give me the visual. So they bring her back, she's gonna give birth, and they like do a C-section. They pull out the baby, and the baby's still inside the sack. So they have it's called an end-call birth, where a baby is birthed still inside the sack. It's something I've been wanting to replicate. Ooh, god damn, that was salad. Anyway, something that I've wanted to replicate for a while, but funds and materials and stuff don't really have it. But they pull out a baby, and they're like, oh, they pull out the sack, and it looks so fucking awesome. I'm like, God, I need that. Anyway, they cut it, and then at first I was like, whoa, movie, you have a very big mistake, because they show a baby, and the baby's kind of like that, and here, and I was like, what the fuck? Then they pan around, there's two babies. There's two fuck off babies. There's twins. There are twin Antichrist babies. What the fuck? So, they took the son. This is where we're going. This is where it MCUs. And it all ties it together. They took the son, because that's gonna be fucking Damien. Then she fucks off, takes the daughter with the whatever person, and then she lives up in the mountains, and they're like, they still know you're alive, and they will, find you one day. It's like, whatever. Maybe there's another prequel, sequel of a prequel, whatever. That okay, so they're trying to do that, right? They're leaving the door open for that. But then, of course, then they show a picture of Gregory Peck, and they're like, it's the government guy, whatever fucking his position was in the movie. They're like, he adopted the son. They named it Damien, like, that kind of stuff. So that's how it kind of tied in. But, if it didn't need to fully tie in with the Omen, and with like the Omen and all that stuff, this standalone would have been fine. Like the fact that, okay, fine, they separated the children, very Star Wars of them, separated the twins and all that stuff. But instead of the greater good, that's the Antichrist. But it would have been a fine standalone movie. But because they had to kind of MCU it at the end there to be like Gregory Peck and blah 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 blah. It's fine. Again, I enjoyed it. The effects were really good, as I've said. It definitely went a lot with shock value, but it was done well and not hokey. Again, I keep saying Blumhouse because it didn't do the Blumhouse thing of like blah, 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 kind of stuff. It was just kind of like, what? Like something would come across the screen, you're like, what was that? It was just like, you're like, what? What was that? Huh? But yeah, so that was the first Omen. I actually didn't think I would enjoy it as much because the Exorcist Believer thing had come out last year, and that was not That was no, you know. But The Exorcist is gonna get kind of like a rehaul because Mike Flanagan is gonna get attached to it. So, you know, he's got a good track record. So hopefully they do it well. You know, they can have Linda Blair there or not, because when they did that with Exorcist Believer, I was like, no, don't do the cameo in the shitty movie. You know. But anyway, so yeah, that was the first Omen. One of these days, I'll watch the other Omen movies. You know, whatever. Anyway, yeah. So, babies, awesome. They're dead or not. Well, they're Antichrist. I really need a WD 40 this chair.